welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about Alyssa Webster because what seemed like an ordinary family photo dump has unexpectedly become one of the biggest conversations among Bringing Up Bates followers. It all started with a simple Instagram post, but before long, fans were looking far beyond the photos themselves. As people began comparing social media activity, Katie Clark's name quickly resurfaced, and even Warden Bates unexpectedly became part of the discussion. So what did followers notice? Why are so many people asking someone to finally spill the tea? And how did a quiet family update turn into such a hot topic? Let's take a closer look at what's really going on. Alyssa recently shared a new Instagram carousel with the simple caption, July. There was no long reflection about the month and no explanation for what followers were about to see. Instead, she allowed the photos to tell the story on their own. The collection featured everyday moments with her husband, John Webster, and their 5 children, Allie, Lexi, Zoe, Macy, and Rhett. It looked like another end-of-the-month recap filled with family memories, the kind of post longtime followers have come to expect from Alyssa. Nothing about it suggested there was a hidden message waiting to be discovered. The photos captured a variety of moments that together created a scrapbook of the Webster family summer. Each child appeared throughout the carousel, giving everyone their own time in the spotlight. One image featured a colorful chalk message reading, "I love you." Another showed an activity page encouraging creativity with the words, "Explore your creativity." A separate photo included the familiar Eat More Chicken tote bag from Chick-fil-A's Cow Appreciation event. None of the images stood out as unusual on their own. Instead, they reflected the everyday experiences Alyssa often shares with her audience, preserving small moments rather than trying to create headlines. For many followers, that was exactly how the post was received at first. It looked cheerful, familiar, and completely consistent with Alyssa's usual content. There were no cryptic captions, no emotional statements, and no obvious clues pointing toward family drama or personal struggles. But the discussion soon shifted away from the carousel itself. Instead of talking about the family photos, people began focusing on something entirely different. Ironically, the biggest conversation had nothing to do with the images Alyssa had actually shared. Across online discussion forums, users started comparing Alyssa's Instagram following list with what they remembered seeing before. According to those discussions, many believed Alyssa no longer appeared to be following most of her Bates siblings. One name immediately stood out, though. Katie Clark still appeared to remain on the list. That detail quickly reminded many people of another recent discussion involving Katie. Not long ago, followers noticed Katie also appeared to be following only Alyssa among her Bates siblings. Once those two observations were connected, curiosity spread quickly. People immediately began asking whether the similarities between the sisters' accounts meant anything at all. Was it simply a coincidence, or could the matching pattern point to something happening behind the scenes? Since neither Alyssa nor Katie had addressed the topic publicly, there were no clear answers. Instead, every observation seemed to generate even more speculation. More users checked the following lists for themselves, and the conversation continued growing across different online communities. As more names entered the discussion, the reactions became even stronger. Carlin Stewart quickly became one of the biggest talking points because many followers said they had never noticed any obvious tension between her and Alyssa. Several commenters admitted they were surprised when Carlin reportedly no longer appeared among Alyssa's follows. Warden Bates also sparked a wave of reactions. Many people said he was one of the last siblings they expected to become part of the speculation. Questions like, why Carlin, and wait, even Warden, appeared repeatedly as users tried to understand what they believed they were seeing. The list of names continued expanding as more people joined the conversation. Aaron Payne, Jackson Bates, Allie Bates, and several other siblings were also mentioned while users compared accounts. As that happened, many followers began revisiting older family moments that had attracted little attention at the time. Others discussed how family dynamics naturally change over the years and wondered whether those changes could explain what they believed they were noticing online. Even so, None of those theories came with confirmation from Alyssa herself. Without a public explanation, speculation continued filling the silence. Not everyone viewed the situation negatively, though. Many followers preferred to focus on what they considered the most encouraging possibility. Rather than assuming relationships had fallen apart, they hoped Alyssa and Katie were simply supporting one another behind the scenes. If the sisters really were continuing to follow each other while other names appeared to be missing, some believed that could reflect a particularly close bond between them. Comments such as, "At least they still have each other," appeared repeatedly as people expressed hope instead of conflict. Others said that if the sisters were navigating a difficult season, perhaps they had simply chosen to do so privately without feeling any obligation to explain themselves online. Of course, another group approached the discussion very differently. They openly joked that someone needed to finally spill the tea. That phrase appeared again and again throughout the conversation, becoming one of the most common reactions. Some users laughed that they already had the popcorn ready because they believed this was only the beginning of the story. Others joked that one day there would surely be an interview, a podcast, or even a book revealing everything fans have spent years trying to piece together. While those comments were clearly lighthearted, they also showed just how invested many people have become in following every detail surrounding the Bates family. At the same time, there were plenty of voices urging caution. Those commenters reminded others that an Instagram following list does not automatically reveal the true state of someone's relationships. Social media activity can change for many reasons, and it should not always be treated as proof of conflict. Even many of those cautious followers admitted, however, that this situation stood out because people believed they were seeing a similar pattern involving both Alyssa and Katie within a relatively short period of time. That alone kept the conversation alive, even without any public confirmation. Perhaps the most interesting part of the entire story is how dramatically the focus shifted. Alyssa's original post was simply a collection of July memories featuring John, Allie, Lexi, Zoe, Macy, and Rhett. It was meant to celebrate everyday family life through a series of ordinary moments. Yet instead of discussing those memories, many viewers found themselves talking about an Instagram following list that was never even shown in the post itself. It highlights how quickly online conversations can move beyond the content creators intentionally choose to share, with audiences often paying just as much attention to activity happening behind the scenes. For now, the questions remain unanswered. Alyssa has not publicly addressed the discussion surrounding her following list, and Katie has remained silent as well. Until someone involved decides to speak, if they ever choose to do so, followers will likely continue debating whether these social media changes mean something significant or whether the entire situation is simply being overanalyzed. Either way, a post that began as a quiet family recap has become one of the most talked about topics among Bringing Up Bates fans. So, what do you think about everything that's been discussed? Do you believe this is simply an Instagram change that's receiving far more attention than it deserves? Or could there really be more happening behind the scenes? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below because we'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this update, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest Bringing Up Bates news and celebrity updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.